The following story was sent to us by a victim of a military fake profile scam. The victim would like to remain anonymous, but this is a story in her own words. I met Alvin during the COVID pandemic. It was March of 2020, and they were talking about locking down, sending people home from work, and how COVID had reached my state with a few cases. I worked as an assistant manager at a restaurant. There was talk of closing down, but for now we were still working. I was on Facebook dating. Really didn't think I would meet anyone. I hardly ever opened the app, and when I did, I never found anyone worth my time. I'm divorced, and my ex-husband was, for lack of the better word, a total pig. He never gave me love, affection, attention, and he was addicted to porn. So yeah, a pig. I had been divorced for 2 years when I signed up for Facebook dating. That's when I started talking to Alvin. He said he was 35, I was 38, and he was in the Army. He was absolutely handsome, and yes, I have a thing for military men. Even though my ex-husband was ex-military, I hope that other military men would not be like him. It was an attraction for me to military guys. He told me he was divorced. His wife had cheated on him with his best friend and ran off. He had no children, and he was open to finding love, but doubted any woman could really love him. I felt sad for him. I understood how he felt, and I was betrayed by my ex and found that he had cheated many times over the course of our 5-year disaster of a marriage. Alvin said he was stationed in Iraq and was on a peacekeeping mission and would be home at the end of October. He asked me for my phone number and if I had WhatsApp. He said all soldiers use WhatsApp now. I really didn't know any better if they did or not. I met my ex-husband after he had gotten out of the military, so maybe soldiers did use it. I don't know. I gave him my WhatsApp information, and we started texting there. He would often text me in the middle of the night, and I thought nothing of it due to him being in Iraq and the time difference. He asked me the normal stuff, what I did for work. I had no kids, and he talked about maybe wanting to start a family. He sent me tons of photos of himself. I had always wanted kids, but I knew that I was getting older, so I kept that option open, but never dedicated myself to having children. We chatted all the time. He told me his parents had both died when he was young, and his uncle raised him. He said his uncle was from France, and he spent summers in France when his uncle went to visit his home country, but he grew up in Los Angeles. He said he joined the Army, and he's been in the military for many years. He sent me tons of photos of this man in military uniform and even video of him shooting a gun during his combat training. He said once he got home from Iraq, he was going to be with me forever. He called me constantly on WhatsApp. All day, all night, talking, chatting. He even video called me one time and could only speak for a few minutes. There was a bit of a delay though, and he had kind of a weird accent. He told me it was because his uncle always brought him to France, so it was a mixture of a French accent and then living in California. I didn't think much of it. Honestly, I've never chatted with a man from France, and I didn't notice the accent any different from any other French person, because I just didn't know. As time went on, he was sending me romantic poems, songs from the band Westlife, and even the Backstreet Boys. He begged me not to break his heart. We talked day and night, over and over. We even got into some sexual chat, which I regret now. I sent him some naughty photos, but at the time I was falling in love with this man and didn't think anything was weird about it because I really cared about him, and that's what couples do. Pretty soon, though, I found myself in trouble. I was getting laid off of work due to the pandemic. I let Alvin know, and he was very concerned, but he told me it's not a problem. He helped me to file unemployment. He asked me for my personal information and said that since he's in the military, he could get my unemployment filed quicker and push it through the government. I had read stories of people waiting months for their unemployment, and I couldn't do that. I had rent due and very little savings. So I gave him my information, a copy of my ID, my social security number, the information about where I worked, and everything you needed to file unemployment. He said he would take care of everything for me. I believed him, and I trusted him because he said he was in the military. He said he filled out my unemployment information and everything would be fine and he would take care of it for me. A few weeks later, I was still getting nothing from unemployment. As time went on and weeks went on, I had no way to check. Alvin said he would take care of it for me and not to worry about it. He offered to send me $1,000 to help me pay my rent until my unemployment was taken care of and started paying out. When I asked him about checking on my unemployment, he said I couldn't log in to check it. He said he took care of everything and the government had everything under control and that I shouldn't log in because it can affect my place in line at the unemployment. I really didn't know. I've never been on unemployment before. Alvin asked me for my banking information and password. He said he would send me $1,000, but he needed to verify to make sure that it went through. I went ahead and gave him my information. Pretty soon, $1,000 was deposited into my account. He told me to go ahead and take out $500 and use it for bills and then save the rest in case unemployment was delayed. I took out $500, paid some past due bills, and waited. He sent me an official document saying that my unemployment was coming and that I was going to get back pay for almost a month. That would have given me thousands of dollars, and I would have gotten caught up on my bills. One day, Alvin told me he wants me to pay for his leave as part of my unemployment so that he can come and see me. I told him I'd have to wait till I got something, but I'd be happy to pay for his leave if it meant he could come home and spend quarantine with me during the pandemic. He told me that he needed $2,000 to cover his leave, that he could fly home on a special jet and be with me, and we could quarantine together and get to know each other. This was the craziest thing I've ever done. I never thought I would be with a man that I hardly ever met in person, but I was going to spend quarantine with him. But crazier things have happened, and we're in crazy times. I told him that would be fine. I waited a few more days, and he finally told me that he was planning to take the leave, and that as soon as my unemployment hit my bank, to pay for his leave so he could come. Within a few days, I got a notification from my bank that my unemployment was starting to be paid. There were some deposits made from the Department of Unemployment. I immediately took $2,000 of it and told Alvin that I can have it sent so he can come home, and I asked him, how do I pay for it? He let me know to leave that money in the bank and he would take care of everything for me. He said, just leave everything there. I have your login details. I'll take care of it. So I believed him. I planned for him to come. He even sent me paperwork showing his leave. A few days later, I got a notification from my bank saying that I was overdrafted. Well, how could this be? I have gotten my back pay for all of my unemployment, and I had a little bit of savings left. I went and contacted the bank, and they let me know that I had overdrafted on my card, and that almost $6,000 was sent in separate transactions via Western Union to a man in Florida. I didn't know this man in Florida, but it was an online Western Union transfer. I contacted Alvin right away, and he told me he did not know what I was talking about, and he said that maybe I should look into it and check my bank. When I tried to log into my bank account, though, I was locked out. The password had been changed. I was unable to get into it and ended up having to contact my bank to let them know what happened. I confronted Alvin and asked him what was going on. I had a feeling that maybe he wasn't being truthful with me. If he needed the money, he should have just let me know. He said he didn't know the man in Florida, and he had no idea what I was talking about, and that I must have been hacked. I got the information from the bank and from Western Union, surprisingly, of where the money went. I found the man on social media and made contact with him. He was shocked as I was. He told me that he was talking to a woman named Brenda who was in the Army, and that I was a special agent for the military, and I was going to send him $6,000 in separate transactions via Western Union to him to pick up so he could take that money and forward it to his fiancée, who happened to be working with an agent and stationed in Nigeria for the U.S. Army. When I told him what was going on and we compared notes, we came to the conclusion we had both been scammed. He told me that the money came from me directly online through Western Union, but I'd never signed up for a Western Union account. Long story short, this so-called Alvin had not only got into my bank account because I gave him the password, but he created a Western Union online transfer account and linked my bank account and debit information directly to the Western Union account so he could wire money all over the place. I found several transactions the bank showed me where I had wired money via Western Union to several people. Long story short, I was scammed. I got none of my unemployment, and right now unemployment has stopped paying me because of fraudulent transactions and applications for unemployment in several states that I've never even lived in. It's become a nightmare. I've had to call the Federal Trade Commission and put a freeze on my credit and file for identity theft. And Alvin, when I confronted him, he blocked me. He disappeared from WhatsApp, and disappeared from Facebook dating. I was scammed, and I have no doubt that the scammer was in Nigeria. But this goes to show you how creative they are and how they can create accounts with your basic information, such as your ID and your social security number. My advice to you, don't ever let a fake soldier help you with your unemployment, and don't trust anybody with your personal information. It's going to take me months, if not years, to straighten this out, and to this day I'm still getting letters from various unemployment offices in several states denying claims or tracking down claims that were paid under my name and my social security number, but I never received them. Be very cautious, be very careful, and don't make the same mistake I did. Thanks for letting me share my encounter. And we'd like to thank this lady for sharing her story. And of course, it comes down to please never give your information to anybody online, no matter who they say they are, because scammers can open bank accounts, they can open unemployment claims in your name, they can do all sorts of financial damage and create fraud. If you'd like to share your story, you can find us on Facebook under Scamming Scammers Action, or you can email us at scammingscammers@gmail.com. Please know that it will take about 2 weeks to read your story, as all stories are verified and investigated prior to posting. Thanks again. You guys take care, be safe, and keep your information to yourself. Bye.